What's the odds that we'll be someplace, I'll be able to pull out a guitar with some random people and have some fun and stuff like that? I mean, what are the odds? This is San Marcos.
This is San Marcos. It's a college town, so I think the odds are actually pretty good.
Whatever happens, happens.
Well, okay. I don't want to get arrested. Well, you know what? That would be a funny story.
Welcome to San Marcos! That's it. You guys are in the video, no doubt. Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
Aviation 101. We're here. That's right.
Or you could use the OBS button.
Or that, yep, that's another way.
You know what this stands for?
Omnidirectional bearing selector, but what's your answer?
Orange Blossom Special.
That's right.
I got a prediction for you.
What's that?
A prediction is when you foretell the future. You don't know what a prediction is?
I do. Now I do. I appreciate the wisdom.
This is Dan Greider. You probably recognize him from the Flight Chops channel where he's worked with Steve on a number of projects before. Dan flew for a major airline for 20 years as a captain, AQP instructor, recurrent examiner, and outside the airlines he has 40 years instructional experience in a huge variety of airplanes. And he likes brisket and music, so he'll fit right in Central Texas.
So what do y'all think of our Texas cuisine so far?
Fantastic.
Are you ever going to feed me so much that I'll come down to saying these words, I can't take any more brisket?
There's no way. I can't imagine you saying those words.
I can't eat anymore. San Marcos, Josh Flowers. I can't eat anymore.
Dan and Steve worked together to produce some amazing content on Flight Chops that started the important conversation about how we can address the fatal accident rate in general aviation. In the Flight Chops episodes, Dan was the instructor giving the pilots an AQP flight review. In this series, Dan is going to teach me how to step into his shoes and give an AQP flight review myself. That acronym keeps coming up, AQP. What does that even mean? AQP stands for Advanced Qualification Program, and in the airline world, it basically means they custom tailor their recurrent training curriculum to fit the pilot and the mission. They focus on the maneuvers that can kill you, basically. Dan took this concept from his experience in the major airlines and adapted it to apply to general aviation in the form of a flight review. And Dan is here in Texas to not only slam some barbecue and play some music in a crowded bar,
Welcome to San Marcos!
but to also teach this young CFI on camera how to teach this whole AQP thing to my own students. I'm a 24-year-old flight instructor that got my private pilot certificate as early as the FAA would let me. I've accumulated about 1,500 hours total time, and a couple of hundred of that are instruction given. Filmmaking is a huge passion of mine for as long as I can remember, and when I was old enough to start flying, I combined filmmaking with my passion for flying, and 10 years later, we have Aviation 101 as it is today. I'll be giving an AQP flight review to 3 volunteer pilots in 3 airplanes. Bob, aka my dad here, is the reason I started flying.
Does it feel okay?
Yeah. I feel like you're fondling me.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
He got his certificate in 1979, bought a Cessna 172 in 1983, and owned it until 99, when life was changing and he had to sell the airplane. He sold the airplane when I was about 3 years old, but it left just enough of a memory to spark an interest in me when I got older. After I got my private pilot certificate and my dad got current after 13 years of no flying, we bought another Skyhawk in 2013, November 80991, and we've fixed it up over the years as an awesome father-son project. And I'll be giving him one of these AQP flight reviews in our Skyhawk. So I'm excited about it. This one's kind of special because it's my dad. He got me into flying, and then here I am giving him an AQP flight review, something that's completely centered around keeping the pilot alive. So we're gonna go up and keep Dad alive.
What do you think about flying with your dad? Is that going to work out all right?
Of course, over the years of flying with my dad, we've figured out our differences when it comes to his learning style, my teaching style, and then reverse that. We've learned our differences. That's an opportunity that most people don't get to have. Flying with their fathers,
exactly.
And of course, flight instructing their fathers too, and being able to introduce what I think is revolutionary content. Teaching content. All this material that we're introducing, being able to pass it down to my dad who got me into flying, that's priceless. And I think that's something that's gonna be pretty incredible to share. And like we've kind of talked about over the phone and stuff leading up to this, we're trying to keep the pilots alive. We're trying to keep Dad alive. Start off with a very important question. Do you know the Muffin Man?
No, I don't. The Muffin Man.
Alright, looking good. Hey, you just lost your PFD there. Okay.
Rob here is a retired engineer with a sweet Cirrus SR20 hangared right across from my dad and I. I've known Rob for a number of years now, and we've spent many evenings in our hangars telling flying stories over beers after we fly and stuff. Rob, much like my dad and I, has a huge passion to get out there and just learn something new and challenge himself, so he was totally on board when I pitched this whole AQP flight review concept to him. Rob got his private certificate in 2000 and his instrument rating followed shortly thereafter, and now has about 1,500 hours total time just like I do. He recently upgraded from a Piper Archer to the Cirrus, and he now has about 250 hours in the Cirrus.
Hey, you lost your power. Lied in your seat. Lied in your seat. Save your life.
And Miles here is a 24-year-old private pilot working on his instrument rating in his Stoll Piper Cherokee 180. You may recognize Miles from the High West series we did in the fall of 2019. He's accumulated about 300 hours of total time and has an awesome attitude about learning new things, and he too was all over it when I asked him if he wanted to be one of our pilots for this series. All three of these pilots have flown with me, but none of them are familiar with this AQP concept, so this is going to be a really good learning experience for all of us, and it'll all be on camera. To set this up, Dan is going to walk me through an AQP flight review from start to finish, starting with a mock ground briefing with our friend Dean here, who volunteered to be the guinea pig so I can observe how Dan does this whole AQP thing in the ground portion.
Every month, we lose GA airplane. All the accident categories are always the same things that keep on happening over and over again. So real quick, I'm going to go through the list with Dean, explain what these acronyms mean, and I'm going to cross off the ones that don't apply to him. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to brief you on it.
Right.
We're not going to train you on it.
Right.
Are you flying a twin right now?
Not right now, no.
I'm going to skip all your multi-engine stuff.
Yep.
These are the maneuvers on here that could kill you. One half the page is C-fit, the other half the page is U-fit. C-fit is controlled flight into terrain.
Yep.
U-fit is uncontrolled flight into terrain.
Got it.
Dan is referring to a PDF document available on aviation101.com. Dan compiled a heap of accident statistics and explanations of all the stuff we're going to cover, and I worked with Dan to modify that document to fit this series. Dan and Flight Chops made a similar document that went along with his videos, and this new document goes right along with this series. Head over to aviation101.com/AQP Grassroots to download that document. I'll put a link down in the description, and it'll pay for you to have a copy of that in front of you for this series. After the mock briefing with Dean, we climbed into the airplane with Dan instructing me from the right seat, and we ran through some drills so I could see how Dan teaches this stuff in the airplane.
I think one of your circuit breakers just blew. Check that out.
Which one? They all look like they're in.
Here's the thing. I want you to go back and look at that clip. Neither one of us have seen it yet, but I think if you go back and look, this is you're gonna have to humble yourself and show it, if you will. Right. But it's an excellent clip because you can see the delay and you can see your body come forward when I did this, and it worked out so totally awesome. And then you realized, oh man, you were doing an instrument takeoff and you went heads down and leaned your body forward simply off of something that I said. Right. Worked perfect.
And when I even did it the second time, I just kind of reenacting the motion, I even felt the airplane pitch down. It was only like 2 or 3 degrees.
Yeah.
Almost you can't even notice it on the attitude indicator, but it did pitch down. And that's enough to at least yield a difference in your airspeed.
Yeah. I think one of your circuit breakers just blew. Check that out.
Which one? They all look like they're in. I see what you did.
I tried to distract you. You did for just a second. You looked down and started working on that.
Yeah.
So that's something you can do to your guys.
Right.
Give them some kind of distraction, and then show them in the debrief later on. Here's the distraction I gave you, and here's what you did. Now, let me give you the distraction again. Let's pretend like you're flying on instruments because everything's good. I'm still looking out here.
Okay.
Hey, you got a circuit breaker just popped down there. Okay. Maybe we do. Take your hand and reach down there and start to feel a little bit of my braille. Keep flying the airplane. Keep the airplane going up. Did you notice when I said that, you reached forward and the yoke lowered just slightly right there when you looked forward to look down at your instruments?
I did notice that. It'll be more apparent on camera, but
yes,
yeah.
Your entire body went forward about this much is what it did.
It relaxed some pressure.
Yes, and you relaxed some pressure. So those are the kind of things that you want to point out to your guys. Don't let a distraction bite you during a critical time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, what have we got for Vassy or Pappy up here?
I don't believe we have either here.
Okay, how could we find out?
We could go to the chart supplement.
Okay.
Find that out.
It'll be on there. Since we have 2 minutes left, there's nothing to do. We can pull that up and avail of ourselves of all the information that's available.
That's right.
Everything that we did in flight, there's some great nuggets that we did in there, specifically with RTO and coming in the stabilized approach criteria. So we accidentally overshot final. This is where guys see you're right on DMMS, and the tendency would be to pull up and to bank hard right here.
Okay,
You
gotcha.
compensated nicely. Give your guys a scenario like that. Put them through it. Let them see how DMMS is a reminder here for what you got.
Gotcha.
Several things that we caught in flight that I went back to the way. Now let's go back and look at your AFD again. Let's talk about this runway. You got 2 minutes here. Let's talk about the runway. What do we got and what are we expecting?
Arm yourself with the information.
You got the information.
You got the information, all of it at your fingertips. We take for granted what those iPads can do.
My point is to take the data that's here, take 3 minutes, brief yourself, glean all the good information out of there so that you know what you're expecting.
Right.
So a whole bunch of nuggets picked up. You stepped through the whole program really, really nicely. You're an excellent CFI, and now that you've got the guide on how to do it, it's totally awesome. You can redistribute that, and hundreds of thousands of people that go and watch this video can take the material and your PDF off of Aviation 101. That's our idea. Take it, modify it, make it your own. So you did perfect on all of that.
Well, I'm excited to do the flight reviews that the flight reviews are going to do over the next couple of days. I feel a lot better about teaching them. Of course, you're going to be there to help me step through it if I do need help, but I feel a lot better about it.
Oh man,
I think we're going to put a good message out there.
It's a great message. You're 1,000%. I'm totally excited about this. You did a great job.
Good
I'm
deal.
super excited for you to be on board with this and helping spread the message on what we're doing here. We're going to put a dent in this thing, man.
We are, absolutely. Well, now that we're done with flying, I think it's time for some good Texas barbecue. But of course, it's a Friday night. We're gonna have to wait for it. But what does that mean?
Let's go do it. I've got a leotard that you're not going to believe. I've got leotards and cowboy boots. It's going to look great.
Oh, good. You're gonna fit. You're gonna fit right in. So, what do y'all think of our Texas cuisine so far?
Fantastic.
Over the next couple of days, I'm going to give 3 flight reviews to 3 pilots and 3 airplanes. And on top of that, we're going to try and capture this as effectively as we possibly can. This entire process was not only super educational for myself and the pilots and Dan, but there were definitely plenty of moments that got our hearts going.
My fuel flow is low. My RPMs are low. Abort. All right, we're going to lose the engine. We're going to push. Unload that wing.
The entire purpose of this series here on Aviation 101 and the videos that we've previously seen on Flight Shops is to kick off this grassroots movement in general aviation. We want to start the conversation about how we as a community can become part of the solution to this horrible fatal accident rate we are seeing in general aviation. The only way this grassroots AQP movement is going to get traction in general aviation is if everyday pilots change their mindset. Everyday pilots like Steve over at Flight Shops, myself, Dan, we're just a bunch of pilots that like food, we like music, and we love flying. We want to save your life. I want to save your life. So let's change our mindsets about recurrent training in general aviation, and let's become a part of the solution and get this grassroots AQP movement going. Thank you for watching part 1 of this AQP series. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications on Aviation 101 so you can be notified when part 2 is released. Don't forget to head over to aviation101.com/AQP Grassroots and download that PDF document. I'm going to make that homework before you watch part 2. Take a look at that document, and if you take a look at it, make yourself familiar with it, part 2 is going to make a bit more sense. If you'd like to support Aviation 101, you can do that by shopping on the e-store, aviation101.com/store, or joining Cockpit Club, aviation101.com/Cockpit Club. That's where I do monthly live streams with the members, do some giveaways for the members. I also post exclusive content, which the full-length ground portions, briefs, and debriefs, and the full-length flights from this series are going to be posted on Cockpit Club. As always, everyone, I want you to stay happy, stay healthy, stay current, and stay proficient. Keep your airspeed up, and we'll see you in part 2.